Welcome to another in our series of Kehillat Israel podcasts. This is a recording of Rabbi Amy Bernstein's weekly Friday morning Torah study.
Since we have a podcast of this class, I looked at the history of teaching this parsha because I wanted to see what we've been studying over the last few years. So I looked all the way back to 2013 and realized that we have not done Rachael and Leah. We've always done Jacob's dream in the first triennial, and then, other stories that go in the other parts of the parsha. But we're in the first third of every parsha, and we always start at Jacob's dream. So we're not starting there today. All right, so we're going to look at chapter 29, verse 1.
Jacob then moved on and headed for the land of the people of Kedar. He looked, and lo, a well in the field with 3 flocks of sheep lying at rest by it, because this was the well from which they watered the flocks. A good-sized rock lay on the mouth of the well. When all the flocks were gathered there, they, the shepherds, would roll the stone off the well's mouth and water the flocks. Then they would put the stone back in place over the well's mouth. Jacob said to them, "My friends, where are you from?" "We are from Haran," they said. He said to them, "Do you know Laban, son of Nahor?" And they said, "We do know him." "Is he well?" said he to them. "He is well," said they. "And there is his daughter Rachael coming with the flock." He said, "Since the day is still young and not yet the time for rounding up the livestock, why don't you water the flock and then take them out to pasture?" But they said, "We can't do that until all the flocks are rounded up and they, the shepherds, roll the stone off the well's mouth. Then we will water the sheep." Okay.
Let's stop there for a second. We got a lot going on. Believe it or not. All right. So, Yaakov, Vayetzei Yaakov raglav vayelech arza v'nei kedem. So, Yaakov is resuming his journey. What journey is Yaakov on? Why is Yaakov journeying? Why is he not home?
Find a wife.
His flight. What is he fleeing?
Esau's wrath.
Esau, right? Because what did Jacob do to Esau? He what? He stole his birthright, right? And so he stole his birthright. That happened early. What was the last thing he did? He stole the birthright with a bowl of stew. That happened a long time ago. What did he do recently?
Sold him into slavery?
No, that's Joseph. You're getting ahead of us. He stole his father's deathbed blessing. How did he do that? He tricked his father, who was blind.
We think.
And he put goat skin on his arms to feel more hairy like Esau. And he tricks his father into giving him the blessing that makes him the big kahuna. And Esau is left with kind of a second-rate blessing when he finds out. And he is murderous when he finds out. Rivka hears that Esau is intending to kill Yaakov for what he's done. And so she says, "Go to my family. He's got to go somewhere where he's got protection." You don't have protection in the ancient Near East. We keep talking about this, right? All the time. If you don't have family, if you don't have clan, if you don't have tribe, you are toast in the ancient Near East. So she's not going to say, run. That doesn't help him, right? You're leaving one danger for another one. She says, "Go to my family." And so he has to take off fast. He takes off. He rests in a place later named because of his encounter there, Beit El, right? Bethel. This is where he has a vision of a ladder, right? Going from earth to heaven, and on the ladder are God's malachim, God's messengers going up and down, right? And now I can't help but think these days of messengers going up and down on a ladder. I can't help but think of a double helix and RNA, right? truly, it's striking to me now that, the chemical messengers, the genetic messengers going up and down a double helix ladder. So it's just, love that. Love it when that happens. So that's what he sees, and he has a vision, and then he makes a promise at the end of chapter 28 that if God should protect him, we're not going to spend any time on that text, then he will come back and build an altar to God. All right. 29. We're going to start at 20. We just started at 29. Yaakov resumes his journey after this vision, after this evening encounter stuff. He's heading towards Vnei Kedem, and there before his eyes, what does he see? Verse 2.
A well.
Oh.
Water.
Oh, he's heading this way, and Vayar, and he sees, Vehine Be'er, and behold, there's a well. Okay, these stories, if you know them well, they are so beautifully connected. What does this remind us of? Hagar.
Finding the well.
She doesn't find the well. She lifts her eyes and Vayar, and she sees, and behold, there's a well.
Water is the time.
She sees.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about how long the well's been there. She sees, and behold, there's a well. Wells are living waters. Wells are life in the ancient world. Wells are also where one meets one's intended. You gather around the well, and as we're going to see in our story, often maidens were watering flocks. They carry the water for the family, right? They go collect water, and they bring. So wells are a sign of life and life-giving stuff and fertility.
Excuse me, did Moses have that same experience?
I'm sorry?
Moses.
Very nice, Reuben. You see? Moshe is going to have exactly the same experience. He's going to be at the well, and he's going to meet, the daughters of Yitro, and one of them, of course, is Tzipporah, who will become his wife. So very good, Reuben. Gold star. Yeah, right?
In writing,
All right. So he sees a well. So that already tells the biblical listener, okay, something about so there's going to be something about a chick coming, right? Something about a girl. A hookup. Exactly. A hookup is coming. We know already it's a good omen, right? That there's a well is already a really good omen. Okay.
Before Match.com.
This is way before Match.com. But he is going to slide the rock. He's going to swipe it. Oh, never mind. All right. 3 flocks of sheep were lying there beside it, for the flocks were watered from that well. So they're waiting to be watered. The stone on the mouth of the well was large. All right, so there's a stone covering the well, and that has to be moved, obviously, before you can get water out of it, but it's very large. When all the flocks were gathered there, the stone would be rolled from the mouth of the well. So they wait for all the sheep to arrive, then they remove the stone, and then water is drawn for the flocks. And then the stone would be put back in its place on the mouth of the well. Yaakov said to them, hey guys, dudes, where are you from? And they said, we are from Haran. What's happening in Haran? What's Haran?
That's where the family is.
That's where the family is. So they're from Haran. Oh, what a coincidence. He said to them, do you know Laban, right? Ben Nahor. So he's looking for his relative, who he's going to have to ask for sanctuary. Laban. And they said, well, of course we know Laban. He continued, is he well? This is the polite way to speak to people, right? You ask, do you know him? Yes, we do. How is he? And they answered, yes, he is. And dun, 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 dun. There is his daughter Rachael coming with the flock, right? So he's supposed to go to Haran. He's supposed to find Laban and get sanctuary with Laban. As we know from the story with Rivka, it is considered a good thing to marry into the clan. If one can, one should marry into the clan. So he's found people from Haran. He knows Laban is alive and is doing well. And now he's going to meet the daughter of Laban coming with the flock. You need to know, because the Hebrew listener would know, Rachael in Hebrew, the most beautiful Hebrew name that there is. Rachael...
Does that just happen to be your...
It just happens, yes, to be my Hebrew name. And so Rachael means female sheep. So she's coming with flocks, and her name means, right, female, young, fertile sheep.
She's soft and fluffy.
She's soft and fluffy. Okay.
Do we know how old she is?
We don't. We don't know how old she is. But she's a typical...
Marriageable age.
She's of marriageable age. She's 13, 14.
Teenager.
People, I don't make this stuff up, okay? Like, this is how young they were promised and they were betrothed. First baby at 16. So,
Lifespan is short.
what? It's not even about lifespan. It's about childhood, and the minute your body could produce a child, you started the life of an adult, however long that life lasted. We know people lived well into their 80s, right? You had to escape disease and war and, famine and accident and whatever, but they lived long lives if they escaped all that. All right, so she's coming, and she is coming to the well. You can't load this scene with anything else that's going to say hookup, right? I don't know what else you would add. So he says, it is still broad daylight, too early to round up the animals, water the flock, and take them to pasture. And they said, we can't until all the flocks are rounded up. And then the stone is rolled off the mouth of the well, and we water the sheep. Dude, get with the program. Like, you need to know how things work around here, Mr. Busybody, telling us how to, do our flocking business. So while did we get to this?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
While he was still talking with them, Rachael arrived with her father's sheep. She was a shepherd. When Jacob saw Rachael, daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, with his uncle Laban's flock, Jacob went over, rolled the stone off the well's mouth, and watered his uncle Laban's flock. Now Jacob kissed Rachael and began to cry in a loud voice. Jacob then told Rachael that he was her father's kinsman, that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father.
Okay. All right, so here comes Rachael, from doing her regular, usual shepherdessing, and comes down. New guy, right, is at the well. We don't know anything about what Rachael sees or what she takes in of this scene. All we get is Yaakov's perspective. Yaakov knows that she's his cousin. So he goes and, he sees her. He rolls the stone off the mouth of the well and watered the flock of his uncle Laban. So here she comes. She's expecting to wait with everybody else at the well until all the flocks are gathered, till the stone is rolled off the well, and then everybody will wait their turn and get their water like they always do. This time she comes down, and the minute she arrives with her flock, new guy rolls the stone off the well and waters her flock. Tell me what this reminds you of. Moses. What else? Who did this? Rebecca. Rivka at the well. Do you remember the camels arrive? They're thirsty. She runs to water the flocks. People. We have to remember all of the things that tell us this is an appropriate, wonderful hero character. Right? To be a hero, you have to have compassion for animals. And you have to be ready to serve. And if you want to be a leader among our people, you need to first be a shepherd.
The Lord is my shepherd.
Why do you think that psalm was written that way, Elena? The Lord is my shepherd. Adonai is Ro'i, my shepherd. Because shepherds take care of vulnerable creatures who otherwise would be torn apart by the fangs and the talons of the universe.
They also guide them but don't control them.
Okay, now we're getting really subtle. Okay. So, all right.
And also Jacob goes all superhero.
And Jacob goes all superhero, right? That rock is not small. There's a reason they're waiting, right? They could just move it if it were just a lid. It's a huge boulder that's on. Think of a well. Think of how big the mouth of a well is. Something that's not going to fall in a well has to be at least as wide, if not wider, than the opening. It's a big rock. So Yaakov is strong like bull, right? So as was Rivka. Remember? How do we know Rivka was strong? Because you have to draw the water. You put it on your head. You carry it maybe on your head, maybe on your shoulder, but it's a big, heavy thing of water, and you carry that to where you need to, and then you have to carry it back, fill it again. She does this for the entire fleet of camels. I don't know, what do you call a bunch? A herd? Okay. The caravan of camels. So she waters all of them. So we know from this that Rivka is very strong, right? We are seeing the same exact thing. Remember we talked about her, that it's not, she's called a na'ar. She's called, right? They call it a mistake in the Torah that she's called a male youth. Na'ar instead of na'ara. Mm-hmm. She should be a na'ara with a hey at the end, feminine. She's not. She's called na'ar. So in the commentators, we talked about this last year, but the commentators say that she's the new Abraham. The Rivka stories are actually hero tales, right, about the new Avraham. So Yaakov rolls the stone away, so he is, Mr. Hero guy. He's super strong, waters her flock. Right? So she has to be at this point a little confused. Right? Like, who is this guy? I don't know this guy. He's moving the rock. That's not how we do it around here. And why is he moving it? He doesn't seem to have any sheep with him. So it's got to take a while to move that rock. So you can imagine, like, right? Scratching, like they're all scratching their head. What is up with this guy? Does he have the right to move the rock?
No.
Right? There's just a lot going on here that we don't, see in the text. So they're all sitting there scratching their heads going, what the heck is going on? And then he draws water and waters her flock. So, and then he kisses her and breaks into tears. Okay, this is not normal behavior, right? New guy taking over, doing all kinds of stuff, controlling the public works, if you will, the public resources, the communal resources, watering her sheep without talking to her about it, and then kisses her and breaks into tears. She must think he is crazy. Nuts. She must think he's nuts. And she is a single female of marriageable age. You do not approach a single female of marriageable age when you are a young man. Right? This is pre-Me Too for sure. You don't do that. It's just not done. Unless, what? Unless she has a herd of camels. Unless
You are serious.
Unless you are serious. Yes, you must be serious. But the only way this would be acceptable is what? Family.
You're in the clan.
If you're in the clan, if you're family, then this kind of behavior, still you'd have parameters, but that's the only circumstance you can imagine under which this would be okay. Yaakov, of course, knows their family. Rachael, of course, does not. So, Yaakov now tells her, kissing cousins. Exactly. And why are they called kissing cousins? Because you don't kiss anybody else, right? Except your cousins.
Is this acknowledgement that they are
For him, yes. For her, she doesn't know anything about anything, right now.
Smack him down? Does she smack him?
She does not smack him down. We don't get an opportunity to hear anything about Rachel's response because right now what we get is Yaakov tells her he is his father's kinsman, that he's Rivka's son. And she ran and told her father. All right. So she runs Vateged La'aviha to tell her father. Who would a 14-year-old girl run and tell?
Her mother.
Her mother. Her mother. Where's her mother? We don't know. We don't know where her mother is. We don't see her mother. So she runs and tells her father. On hearing the news of his sister's son, Yaakov, so this is Laban, Yaakov is Laban's nephew. So on hearing the arrival, right, that his nephew has arrived in town, Laban ran to greet him. He embraced him and kissed him and took him into his house. This is proper behavior to do for one's, sibling's child who clearly, it's not polite to ask right now, but clearly something's going on. Right? He didn't get a telegram saying, Yaakov's coming to visit. He's never seen Haran. I hope that you will show him, the sights and take him to our favorite restaurant. So something's going on that he just shows up. Yaakov just shows up. So then, of course, Torah tells us that he told Laban all that had happened, and Laban said to him, you are truly my bone and flesh, meaning I 100% acknowledge that you are kin. You are safe here. All right. Bert.
So he stayed with him a whole month. Right?
Go.
Yeah, right. So he stayed with him a whole month. Laban then said to Yaakov, just because you are my kin, should you serve me for nothing? Tell me what you want to be paid. Now Laban had 2 daughters. The elder was named Leah, and the younger was named Rachael. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachael was beautiful of form and of face. Jacob was in love with Rachael, so he said, I will work for you 7 years for your younger daughter Rachael. More?
Yeah.
Laban answered, I would rather give her to you than to any other man. Stay here with me. So Yaakov labored 7 years for Rachael, yet in his love for her they seemed to him but a few days. Yaakov then said to Laban, let me have my wife. I have filled my term. Now I want to make love to her. So Laban invited all the people of the place and made a feast. In the evening he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Yaakov, who made love to her.
No.
Yes.
I'm just reading what it says here.
He's like, look, people, I don't make this up.
I'm just reading what it says.
All right, go ahead.
Wait, I thought...
Just stop interrupting. Go.
And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her maid. In the morning, look, it was Leah.
Dun, 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 dun.
And Yaakov said to Laban, what have you done to me? Wasn't it for Rachael that I agreed to serve you? Why did you deceive me? We go further?
Yeah.
And Laban replied, this is not done in our region to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill the additional 7-year term, and that one too will be given you in exchange for the additional 7 years of work that you will do for me. Yaakov did so. He fulfilled this additional term of 7 years, whereupon Laban gave him his daughter Rachael as a wife.
In addition?
Yes, they did that.
Okay. All right.
Can you say karma?
Now do we understand, Jody?
No.
Okay. So he immediately falls for Rachael, right? He sees her and he immediately falls for her. And he hangs around Laban's place for about a month. That means he's had time to be around Rachael for a month. And apparently it only gets deeper, right? Because And so then Laban approaches Yaakov and says, all right, you know what? You may be my nephew and all, but nothing's free, buddy. I'm going to pay you wages for the work that you do here. If you are kin and you work on the estate, do you expect to be paid?
Probably not.
No. You're part of the family. By Laban offering to pay Yaakov, he is changing the nature of the relationship. He now is treating him like a hired laborer. An outsider. So Laban, so this is what Laban says, tell me what you want to earn. Like what's your dollar per hour wage? And what does Yaakov say? Rachael.
One wife in 7 years.
I will work for Rachael. I would like to marry your daughter. I want permission to marry your younger daughter, Rachael. And we are told by Torah, Rachael was shapely and beautiful.
What is the idiom for Leah? So the translation is her eyes were weak.
Yeah.
Did she have a lazy
Well,
eye?
we're not sure. We're not sure what it means. We can go on and on, about what it might mean. Mm-hmm. She might have a lazy eye. She might not have attractive eyes. She might, and remember, often in the ancient Near East, women were, right? So we often have a veil. Eyes were what you saw. And so that she's clearly not. And in contrast to that, it says, and Rachel was shapely and beautiful, right?
Nothing about her eyes.
And actually, it does not say shapely. Yifat to'ar v'yifat mar'eh. She was beautiful of and beautiful.
Beautiful form.
Yeah, beautiful of form and beautiful of face.
Is that what Yifat means?
Yafeh, beautiful. Yifat is possessive. Beautiful of.
There's a character in a TV show called Yifat.
All right. So I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel. In the ancient Near East, if you want to marry somebody, you have to come up with the mohar. You have to come up with the bride price. Otherwise, you have no chance, right? You just have to marry someone else who's destitute. Laban is a rich guy, right? He's not going to give his daughter to some schlepper who has nothing. After a month, he can kind of suss out what's going on. First of all, he's a refugee, fugitive. He's got nothing and nowhere else to go. So he has no way to buy into marriage in this region, much less this wealthy family. And so he has to work. Instead of coming up with the mohar, coming up with the bride price, he works for 7 years as the money, if you will. So he works 7 years. They don't touch each other for 7 years. They are around each other every single day, all day long. And he works for her day and night, and it seemed, because of his love for her, as if it were a few days. This is as romantic as Torah gets, people. Torah never talks emotions. Torah does not talk psychology, what people are thinking or feeling. That we know he loves her this much, this is like italics, bold, underlined, exclamation point, right? This is fantastic how he loves her. And so Jacob says to Laban, he's ticking off the days, like Xing them off on the calendar. He gets to the last of the 7 years, day 365 of year 7, and he says, give me my wife, for my time is fulfilled, right? And I want to come into her. So Laban gathers all the people and makes a huge party. And when evening comes, he takes his daughter Leah and brings her to Yaakov's tent, where he has sex with her. He's intimate with her.
How could he not know it's not Rachel?
Okay, hang on, people. So when morning came, now this is the omniscient narrator. This is not Jacob speaking. This is the omniscient narrator. Verse 25. Vayihi vavoker, and it came that it was morning. Vehine he Leah, and behold, she was Leah. All right. So according to the omniscient narrator, Jacob does not know. Right? This is not Jacob going, "Oh my gosh, it's Leah." Right? This is Torah talking. That means, from Torah's perspective, Yaakov doesn't know that he has lain with Leah. All right. So of course, it must be that she is veiled. Yes, Jody.
This is so karmic because...
Oh, is it really?
I mean, he was such a trickster.
Oh, really?
Right? Is that our lesson?
Do you need something? Is it that late already? Okay, thank you. All right, so Jody's pointing out that maybe this is a little bit of what goes around comes around, right? So this is obviously what Torah is doing here. Obviously, Torah is saying, you, Yaakov, got everything you got by tricking your blind father, unless you want to read it Bert's way, the Midrash, which Isaac maybe knew, okay? So you got everything you have by tricking your old blind father and stealing from your brother. You are so in love with Rachel that 7 years working for her was as 2 days. And now you're going to finally get to be with her. You're finally going to be intimate with her. You've been watching her for 7 years. You finally get to be intimate with her. Oh.
He was too blind.
It was Leah. So he is blind
to who it is.
To who it is. He is blind to who it is, and because he's blind to who it is, he's now had 7 years of labor stolen from him. Think about it. He stole. And so 7 years of labor have been stolen because he didn't get at the end of it what he worked for. So it's gone. It's worthless to him. He doesn't want to be married to Leah. So now what? Right? Now, honey, this is the ancient Near East. He's stuck. He cohabited with her. She is now his wife. Period. Done. No conversation, no discussion, right? She's his. All right? So talk to me a little bit about the conversation between Laban and Leah.
Before this happened.
Here's what you're going to do.
Here's what you're going to do. All right. Who said that? Who said that? Rebecca.
Right.
People.
The mother.
Rebecca said to Yaakov, here's what you're going to do. You're going to dress in goat skin and go get Esau's clothes and put them on so you smell like him, and you're going to steal from your father.
Who's a blind man?
So, who's a blind man? Laban says, we can only imagine, to Leah, here's what you're going to do. You're going to get all veiled up, right? You're going to put on Rachel's perfume, and you're going to her, in whatever it is, she smells like, and you're going to go, I'm making that part up, obviously, and you're going to go in there, and he will be blind. It's going to be dark. You're covered up. He won't see you. He won't see you, and by doing so, we will have gained 7 years of labor, and you get a husband.
So she's complicit in all this.
Well, so that was my next question. What does Leah say? Tell me about Leah's conversation back to Laban. Huh?
I have weak eyes. That's my only chance.
I have weak eyes. It's my only shot. I'm not good looking. This is my only shot. Okay.
Maybe she didn't like Rachael. Anyway, maybe they had some sibling rivalry.
So if she didn't like her sister Rachael, maybe, who was so beautiful, maybe this is her way. Look what I took.
From you.
Took from you, who is so shapely and beautiful.
And he didn't even notice.
Oh, Bert, that's harsh. So the rabbis ask, wait a minute. He's been waiting 7 years. You think they did it like once? For 3 minutes? Come on. He spent the whole night with her, and he only knows come morning that it's Leah? How could that be? Talk to me, people.
But because he was probably drunk.
He was drunk, okay? He was so drunk, he didn't even know it wasn't Rachel in his bed.
And Leah's eyes might have been weak, but her body might have been beautiful.
That's right.
So Leah's eyes might have been weak, but maybe some other things were not so weak. That is a fabulous interpretation.
Maybe he did know it was Leah, and he figured it out. And thought to himself, well, 2 for 1.
No, it's not 2 for 1.
He didn't know he was going to be made to work another 7 years.
There's no reason for him to believe that he was going to get Rachael if he slept with Leah. No reason at all.
But he worked 7 years, so let him get something.
Okay, so that is a dim view of Yaakov. Okay. Mehmet. Being one of those males, yeah.
Your hormones outweigh your intellect.
Your hormones sometimes outweigh your intellect.
Yes.
Could that be? Could that be?
Artfully said.
Okay, so love that. So Mehmet has this crazy idea that every now and then a man's hormones might overtake.
Honestly, at night, he probably didn't mind. He wanted the business to get done.
So he was so wanting intimacy that he doesn't even care who it is. All right, y'all are on the same page. What do you think the rabbis say? What?
She was GIB, good and bad.
That's what Elena thinks. Elena thinks her eyes may be weak, but Yes, Mehmet.
The whole storytelling, when Jacob goes to the well and then he sees Rachel, and then kisses her and all of that, it's all very, very quick storytelling. Unlike in previous chapters, I feel like somebody shortened that whole bit.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Very good observation, Mehmet. Yes.
And also,
likely, yes, this has been very much shortened.
Yeah. And I also have a comment about the blindness of Isaac. Isaac was blind, and Jacob is being tricked with a woman of weak eyes. That can't be a coincidence.
It cannot be a coincidence. 100%. 100%. Her eyes may be weak, but the blind tricking the blind, right? Her eyes may be literally weak. His just don't see, right? All right. So
Literary devices.
So tell me. We're going to get to a place where Rachael, do you remember we had the story of Rachael stealing the tefillin, stealing the idols from her father's house? Originally, we thought this might be a story about a priestess in the ancient Near East that gets turned into the patriarchal narrative that we have, right, by early Israel, who's turning patriarchal, right? If that's true, probably these stories about Rachael were much bigger stories about the heroine. Mm-hmm. And now it becomes about Yaakov, the patriarch, and so it's truncated. Good observation, that probably there was a lot more about Rachael. This would have been a story about the matriarch, right? And
We only have a few pages, though, so...
Right. Well, they could have taken as long as they wanted to. Torah is always terse. Torah is always very terse, right? You're writing it on clay, right? It was cuneiform. It was in clay. It's flippin' heavy. Richard,
is there any significance to the fact that the sort of two of the most important manipulators are in the same family?
It is
Rebecca and...
What family are they in?
Yeah.
What family, Richard?
Nahor? Or no?
What family? Our family.
I'm right, but yeah,
of course, it's this is our family, people. Like, this is our story about who we are.
Oh dear.
We are tricksters.
Somebody else.
Okay.
Right? So, to put an exclamation point on your question, yes, it makes a difference that they're in the same family. They're our family. They're us. Torah is saying, this is y'all.
The Gentiles' dream come true.
Well, maybe the Gentiles' observation, right? Like this is even who we understand ourselves to be from the beginning. All right.
Right before this, didn't Yaakov?
Okay, wait. What do the rabbis say? How did this happen? That he sleeps with Leah, he doesn't know till morning, he doesn't know it's not Rachael? What are any ideas? The rabbis cannot have Leah hating Rachael and trying to get back at her.
Why?
Because that can't happen. These are our matriarchs. Oh my God.
We're like every other family.
For the rabbis, there was code between Rachael and Yaakov. They had secret sexy words. And Rachael was under the marriage bed.
Oh my God!
Making the noises and using the sex words that they're love words for each other. And she helped deceive Yaakov to protect the dignity of her older sister, Leah.
Wow, what a good sister.
What a great sister. Right? So but I find it interesting because I think in some ways it's a rather feminist interpretation of the story. That not only is Leah not, she's not tricking anybody, right? Or they may be tricking. It's the two women tricking Yaakov to get what they want.
And Laban.
And Laban, right? So it's them working together, right? They are not victims in the rabbi's midrashic, right, interpretation of the story. They are in cahoots. Yeah. And so forever, it's kind of them and Yaakov, right? And so that they are kind of the unit. Anyway.
So what does Rachel want when she wants out of this?
What does what say about Leah?
I mean, she doesn't. What is it? She just doesn't know what to say during all of this.
Maybe she's a little slow there.
So we right. So we don't have any conversation from Torah about Leah's right reactions and responses. But if you don't read it that they're in cahoots, then you have to read this as tragic for the women.
Yeah.
You have to. Because the only way she would agree to this is if she feels she has either no other options or she has to because her father will kill her. The patriarch has, remember, complete control of body, resources, everything of the clan. She could be put to death. She could be exiled. It's about honor. If he tells her to do something, he says you're going to marry him and we're going to have to trick him to do it. Okay. In any way you read it, when Rachel hears that Yaakov has been with Leah, it has to be devastation. Because even though he's going to work another 7 years for Rachael, think about what's just happened to her. What just happened to her?
She's been under the bed.
If you don't read it that they're in cahoots, if she's not under the bed, what just happened to Rachael?
She's been abandoned. She stood up.
No, it's worse.
She has no husband.
She lost her partner forever. She will never have him. She will never be able to come home and say, honey, look what I've made for you. He already has a wife.
But she lost her sister.
She lost her sister as well. Rachael, this has to be devastation for Rachael, right? And actually, Rachel's story is a very, very sad story. Because we know she has Yosef. What happens with Yosef? Oh, right. So, but that's not even in her lifetime. So she has Yosef, and she's not satisfied. Leah has all these kids. Rachel's not satisfied. She keeps pushing, till she gets pregnant with Binyamin and dies having Binyamin.
By the side of the road.
By the side of the road.
Oh, dear.
So her life essentially is over at this point.
Which is the story the rabbis tell?
The rabbis say she's in on it. She's under the bed making the noises, right? So, because they can't have that kind of horribleness happen between sisters, right? And they want to, right? They want to redeem the story. But for me, this is the moment Rachel's life is essentially over, because Yaakov is taken from her on some level, right? She'll never have him again without having to share him with Leah. In the book of Deuteronomy, in the laws of Deuteronomy, marrying sisters is forbidden. Verboten.
So he could have a second wife.
He could have a second wife, but you cannot marry sisters. Right? And I truly believe this is one of the stories that sets up why that defends the position that it's just wrong to marry sisters. So this tragic story, right, is the one that they tell, right, to make it clear what can happen, right, when you marry sisters. Mehmet?
On whose behalf does Laban act? Makes all these decisions?
It seems, according to Torah, because we're going to see what he does to Yaakov going forward, it seems Laban is acting for himself. He's going to get another 7 years. He gets 14 years of Yaakov's labor. And Yaakov is a producer. He produces. So he's valuable. He's very valuable to Laban. And then Laban sets it up to try to make more profit off of Yaakov. Remember, I'll give you the speckled and spotted ones. And then Yaakov comes up with an aphrodisiac so that they do it a lot. And so he gets a lot of flocks.
So he doesn't act based on divine justice.
George, you're looking very concerned.
We hear the love of Jacob, but we don't hear the love of Rachel for Jacob. I didn't hear it.
No, it's a very good point. It's a very good observation. We do not hear that Rachel loves Yaakov. We hear that Yaakov loves Rachel.
So
absolutely.
Maybe it's okay with her.
So maybe not that it's okay with her, but I think to George's point, maybe she's kind of neutral, right, about it. But it I don't know, it just kind of seems, that there's something going on. I find it hard to believe, 7 years seemed like 2 days for him because of his love for her, and he's been around her for 7 years, and if she doesn't return the interest, I find it hard to believe Torah would describe the 7. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying.
Yaakov becomes some kind of a nitwit. I mean, here he is, he's been trusted by his family, and he's going to hang around for another 7 years.
Right.
What's with him?
He loves her so much.
Oh, please. Hormones are not.
Wow. Thank you. So you married a guy who doesn't believe it's possible for him to love her so much that 14 years was nothing to him. That's the guy you married. Just saying. Just saying. Huh? He's going to be careful the second time. Oh, thank you for saying that. He's going to be careful the second time around. At a Jewish wedding, the bride is veiled until under the chuppah. What happens?
Take it off so he knows who he's married. To make sure.
That's right.
From here,
Check.
you check.
It's a good idea.
Any other talking beds?
I'm sorry?
Are there any other talking beds?
No. No, but it's not the bed that talks, it's Rachael.
Right, under the bed.
Right, Rachel's under the bed, according to the rabbis.
We would hear we don't hear what happens to Jacob going forward in terms of his loss for... We haven't talked about how Jacob felt after all of this. It just says that he married Leah, and they
Correct.
had 2 children, or whatever many.
Correct. Yeah, correct. All right, so we said that every other year that we have studied this, yes?
I just had one other thought. They said Rachel was very young. Maybe she was so young that she really wasn't ready to be married. Maybe she was just as happy to...
But he gets her in a week.
What?
He gets her in a week. The Leah's week of festivities ends, and Rachel is given to Yaakov, and then he works another 7 years. Oh.
To work is 7, and then
But does she have to wait
No. He gets her after a week. The bride is feted for a week. Remember with Rivka? Let her stay for her week of being feted, and then go.
I don't think so.
What? No, what?
No, it's right here.
Go to 29.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Jacob did so. He fulfilled this additional term of 7 years, whereupon Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife.
Uh-oh. Wait until the bridal week of this one is over, and we will give you that one too, provided you serve me another 7 years.
Right,
so
read it 28.
Yeah, no, I know. So I would have to check to see if she is given to him, but isn't legally his wife until 7 years. I don't know. I have to check why there's. It looks like there's a. It looks like there's a contradiction. God forbid.
Okay, this bit about the rabbi said that Rachel was under the bed making the noises and all that stuff.
Yes.
That makes women very, very. It makes them look bad.
How?
Well, they trick you into these things.
And that's bad? I'm not being sarcastic.
Laban was a trickster also.
Is that bad? Right? Not all the time. Right? So, I'm not sure the rabbis always see that as bad, but yeah.
Well, is there not another angle to this story, namely that Leah was very fertile, actually, and had a lot of children, and Rachael did not? Was
not.
Pardon me?
She was not fertile.
Well, the fact is, Jacob had a lot of children by Leah.
Right.
Only one by Rachael. Two. Was that part of the rationale for this whole thing being a magical situation? That he ends up with 2 wives, one of whom gives him a lot of children and the other does not?
I think it's the tragedy of Rachael, right? But B, I think that in the world of Torah in the ancient Near East, this is Leah's reward for being unloved. She's not loved by Jacob, right? And we get lots of laws about the loved wife and the unloved wife, and you're not allowed to do right. So,
but God smiled on her.
God favored Leah with sons. All right. So I said that usually we study Yaakov's ladder, right? So we study that there's a dream incubation. Yaakov lies down, puts his head on a rock. Even in the ancient world, you don't sleep on a rock, right? They might have been a little different from us. They weren't dumb, right? And they weren't that different. It would not have been comfortable for them. So he sleeps on a rock in order to incubate a dream, say, right, some scholars. And he has this vision, right, of the ladder going up and down, and then the messengers of Yud Hey Vav Hey going up and down. So lots of these stories have inspired lots of different creative interpretations, and I want to show you one. This beautiful interpretation of the dream of Yaakov. You can see that he's laying on the stones, right? And how do you represent angels? Well, wings, I suppose, right? How would you do that? If you're a serious artist and don't want to make anything trite out of this and you don't want it to be kitsch, how do you draw angels going up and down the ladders? By the way, angels don't have wings in Torah. So how do you know they're right? So the artist took letters. What are the letters? Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So columns of the name Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey in this kind of gold light paint, and they're up and down the ladder. Yes?
Just to your point about DNA.
There are 4 letters, there are 4 things.
Oh, there are 4 letters in DNA!
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! All right, so I don't know if you know the artist who did this.
Who is it?
Elena Allen.
You all must know that the idea of the UK bouquet came from a sermon lecture by our rabbi. She gave me that.
So truly, I love it when Torah study inspires us, right, in all kinds of creative ways. This is unbelievably beautiful, unbelievably inspiring, and I'm so proud that we have the kind of study, right, that leads to this kind of amazingness. Yes. Shabbat Shalom.
You've been listening to Rabbi Amy Bernstein's Friday morning Torah study from Kehillat Israel in Pacific Palisades, California. For more information, go to our website, www.ourki.org.